Well, hello there, YouTubers. It's December the 14th, and we've got our first real decent snowfall today. So it seemed like a really good time to discuss something I've learned recently, and that is there is a significant difference between a hoop house and a greenhouse. Let me explain. What I have here, and I call my greenhouse, is in fact a hoop house. It is not a controlled environment by any means, and basically it simply shelters my plants from the wind and the falling snow. Whereas in a greenhouse, you're looking at a much more controlled environment. Not only will it block the wind, not only will it block the rain and the snow and all of those things, you're going to find in a proper greenhouse, it maintains the adequate temperature needed for the plants. Now, when I say adequate temperature, most plants, not all, but most plants are looking for somewhere in the vicinity of 20 degrees Celsius, which would be, well, 20 times 2 is 40, plus 32 is 72. So, in the early to mid 70s Fahrenheit for my American friends. At this temperature, plants tend to thrive. Now, whether that's because of the bacteria that's active in the soils, or in my case, the aquaponic medium, whether that's just because of the ambient temperature, I don't know. I'm not a botanist. I'm learning as I go here, and I'm trying to share what I've learned so that other people maybe don't have to stumble where I did along the way. One thing I have discovered about having a simple hoop house is that it can make a significant difference to how well your plants do in general. That simple protection from the wind, the protection from the snow that's provided without even having the necessary heat for ample growth, still allows the plants an opportunity to grow a little bit as it warms a little bit during the day. In the case of my golden oregano, which is the perfect example, my poor, highly abused golden oregano, in the mornings when I come out and it has frozen outside, I've noticed that the leaves are all very wilty. They even change color somewhat because of the frozen nature of the leaf. I mean, the perfect example, take a piece of lettuce, throw it in the freezer, look at it a few hours later, and you can definitely see some physical changes to that lettuce. Now, when the lettuce comes out of the freezer, it's never going to be quite the same again, which is why a lot of people don't bother to freeze their lettuce. I would be one of them. Chard on the other hand, but that's a different story. Since the oregano is still living, when it thaws out again, it's got enough of a natural antifreeze in there that the cells haven't been destroyed. So it comes back, it grows again, it continues to be healthy, and it will grow for me all winter long under these adverse conditions. Certain other plants that I have in my hoop house will probably need to be taken indoors in order to survive the winter. I have a bay plant that I've taken inside. I've got my key lime that I've taken inside. I've got a few lemons that I'm going to transplant to take inside today. I'd like to see these grow to be larger, healthier plants. In the case of my oreganos, they'll all be left out for the season. Most of them were around last year, and they did okay. I'm a little surprised to say it, but it's true. They did okay. I'm not going to bother taking in my strawberries. I managed to keep my strawberry green all year last year. I'm not going to bother taking in the mints. Even though it doesn't necessarily have the controlled environment of a proper greenhouse, my hoop house allows me the opportunity to continue growing late into the season, and in many cases all year anyway, simply because it does have that extra sheltered effect. Among some of the plants that I will continue to try and grow all winter long in my hoop house are my leeks, my shards, thinking about starting some carrots. Not quite sure how that's going to go, but I will definitely let you know. I'm hoping to get my hands on some kale seeds. I might try those. It's my understanding that kale produces a natural antifreeze inside its leaves, and therefore even in the harsh Canadian winters, even if it freezes, it's still not going to freeze, and it should be okay to keep growing. Unfortunately, kale is one of the seeds that I wasn't able to pick up last spring, so I'm either going to have to pay way too much for it in the winter, or I might just have to wait until the spring. For those of you in warmer climates, I strongly encourage just build a hoop house to start with. You might not even need the full-on temperature control of a greenhouse. In cases such as my own, I find that the hoop house is probably not quite enough. I'd like it to be that little bit warmer here in the winter. I'd like it to be that little bit cooler in the summer. In the summertime, this little thing gets upwards of 40 degrees Celsius, which is 112, 120 Fahrenheit. So as you can see, that's a little bit higher than the 20 to 70 that I was looking for. In some cases, that extra heat had killed a few of my plants. That's part of why I have so many windows in my hoop house and such a large opening for my door. The only problem I find from that is that as the wind takes it, it kind of makes the whole thing act like a sail. When I get the opportunity, I intend to build a more permanent structure and something that will be much closer to a greenhouse, so that I can maintain an adequate temperature for my fish and my plants all year long. There you have it in a nutshell, and from a nutcase, the main differences between a hoop house and a greenhouse. If I've missed anything really important, please feel free to comment below. Always interested in learning new things, and I'm always interested in the feedback that I get from my viewers. So thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great day.